Hi, this is Terry Stevenson of the Builderall team, and in this video we're going to learn how to customize a page made with a template in Cheetah. I'm here in the back office on the Cheetah website overview page. And if you'll recall, we already downloaded a website with a template for the ice cream shop. And it's this website right here. We're going to learn how to do the edits on a template. It'll be a brief overview of how to edit the page as is and get it up and running with very few modifications. So let's click the Edit Site button. We're going to start with this home page and click Edit Page. The template opens, and you'll have an opportunity to take a tour if you'd like, but we're just going to skip the tour, and I'm going to minimize my right side menu by clicking this arrow. And that way we can see a full view of the template in the Cheetah Builder editor. As we look at this template in our editor, we can see at the top we have our header, then we have our first fold panel right here. Moving down the page, we have another panel with some advantages. Moving down, we have another panel, our services panel below that with some statistics. Panel below that is our testimonials. We have another panel for a contact us panel, and then the footer. So how do you start to adapt this for your site? Let's start up here with the header, and we can see that we have a logo on the left and a menu on the right. And if we come over here and click where the logo is, you can see it selects this element, and we can tell it's an image. We can also pop open our menu here, work on our right-hand menu, or we can select the image, right-click, and you can see it gives us the settings on the right-hand side panel. Now, if you close this menu, let's deselect that. With the menu closed, if you right-click and select the image, it opens the same panel. And that's really handy if you want to move this around so you can get to something beneath it. It just depends on what you're working on at the time, whether it's more convenient to use this right-click panel that is free roaming or open up your settings window and right-click. Now, since this is an image, even though it's an image of just text, it's an image, it opens up the image card with our general settings and all the settings listed in this panel, in this menu. The same as we have on the right-hand side. We're going to take a look at these settings so we know where they are. This is your general settings. Let's open that up. And you can see this is where we can put in an alt image title, which is what is seen by somebody if the image is missing for some reason. You can title your images, which helps with SEO. You'll want to put your main keyword in the title of the image. Down here is where you can change the image or delete it. And if you have an external source of the image, you can just load it in here and apply it. So let's change the image by clicking on the button and going to our digital file repository. Here we are in our digital file repository. I'm going to select the ice cream shop directory. I made a new image, so I'm going to go ahead and upload it. Select the file here. Now remember, any images that you're going to upload to the directory need to be a JPEG, a PNG, or a GIF format with a maximum image size of 4 megabytes. So we're going to select the file. I'm going to find my image, select it, and open it. Here's the image. So I'm going to click on the image and save it. And that puts the image up into the placeholder we have for that image. So let's see how it looks. we'll probably need to either resize it or reposition it a bit. The size doesn't look too bad. Oh, that looks pretty good. And you can see I just made a really quick little image, just a logo for this project. And that's how you upload an image and replace an image on your templates. Now we have a lot of images. You could do the same thing with any of the images. Like this is an image. You can tell, see the blue line, and if we select it, it tells us. Now, if you look at this image we see here and select it, you see we're working on the panel, and this is a background image. So we would have to right-click, go to the background settings, scroll down, and find the image to change it. We're going to leave it the same. On the right-hand side of the header, we have the menu, and we can edit the menu by selecting it. And again, right-clicking, and it brings up the menu editor where we can change the general settings. We can choose if it's a vertical menu, a full width menu, how it's aligned, if it has a mobile menu effect, the maximum width of the menu on tablet. General colors, here we can set the colors by choosing the background color. This one is a transparent background color. We can also choose a border if we want a border, the size of it, the color of it, all those details. If we want a round border, we can change the settings and create the border that we want. We can add a brand image. We can also configure our burger menu. Now here at item, I'm going to open it up, and here's where you can configure the spacing between the items, the height of the menu item, the lateral spacing of items, the font style, the font color, the border size, the border color, if you want shading. So you see there's lots of configurations that you can set to make your menu different. I'm going to leave these the same though. The designers did a beautiful job on this, and I just want to show you how easy it is. Here's the same settings for the sub menu. Shadow settings, if you choose to have a shadow, and whether it's an inner or outer shadow. Here's a tag configuration, and if you want to tag this particular menu, you can enter a tag here. Now at the bottom is your advanced settings, and we're going to learn a lot about advanced settings. One of the most powerful features we will be talking about is save as a personal element, which means you can create an element and name it and then save it as a personal element. I also want to draw your attention to the fact that your layers, how your layers are operating on this as far as positioning go, those controls are under the advanced options. You're going to find that most of your elements have the same kinds of settings and options. For example, let's choose this text element here. And if we right click on it, it brings up the text general settings, where we can adjust the size on mobile, the alignment, maximum width on tablet. We can animate it. We can change the tag configuration, our advanced section. And let's right click on that button, another kind of element, and see that we have the same similar, if they apply to the element, you're going to find your settings and customization settings on a similar card in the same place. That makes it really easy to quickly learn how to use the editor. Let's continue with a little of our editing. So here we are on the first fold panel, and we have a title here or a tagline, an introductory line, and of course we can edit that very easily. We can either type it directly. I have it pasted into some notes because I've already decided what I want to say. That makes it a real easy thing to select the element, and then I'm going to triple click. That puts my cursor inside the box, and opens up this editor. This is another text editor. But I want to select all of this. I'm going to paste it into the field. Now, if I wanted to alter it in any way to a different heading or font size, I have all the options of a text editor, a rich text editor right here, including creating links, indentation, all of these standard text editor features. Moving down to the next title, again, I'm going to copy the text that I am going to put in there, or you can just type it in, select this box, replace this text with my copy. Now you can see this is a little bit, the box is a little too small to position that title properly. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to just drag it and make it longer. And there we go. We'll come back and get the tagline. I'm going to copy that onto my clipboard. This is one of the reasons it pays to have this figured out ahead of time. I'm going to select this tagline text field and do the same thing. I'll paste it in here. I'll stretch it out a little bit more. Now I might have to reposition this a little bit and change it, but it's really easy to do. We can also activate our ruler, and it activates a ruler at the top and on the left-hand side. And we can place a snap to guide right where we want it and make sure everything is aligned perfectly. So I could grab a hold of this top box. There we go. And make sure this one is as well, because they kind of stick to the line as you get closer. There we go. Now I didn't spend a lot of time figuring out this copy. And we'll maybe shift our button down. It's all up to you. Now let's talk about the button. If we right click on the button, it brings up the same general settings. We can adjust the size. We can do that with a slider and see, make it larger. We can adjust the height. We don't want to do that. Maybe we'll make it a little larger. There we go. We can also change the color if we want to by selecting the color. And it brings up all the options. We have 3 different colors here. This is your background color. And then we also have a hover effect right here, down here. And this is a background color hover. So you can see that we'll see on the live site that this actually changes color when you hover over it. So now you know how to add images to elements. You know how to add the text elements and alter them. You can just move down this page because the template has been created really to be well done and ready for you to do quickly. Let's move down here to the next panel. Here you would just select this and write whatever you want. Here you might just want to put in a featured benefit. I'm just going to copy this while I'm here and show you how easy it is. And then, of course, come down here into this text field. This is another text field in a different font. So we can select it and you can type in whatever you like. And of course, you'd want it more elaborate than that, but you can be as creative as you like. And you do the same thing with all of these benefits. Now, you'll notice that if you really pay attention, these are just duplicated. These are just duplicated. And we have a title and a text here and a box, what we call an invisible box, holding it all in one place, which means that I can move this around or copy and paste the whole box if I need to. We'll learn more about great ways to use invisible boxes when we're building our blank page site, because we're going to build this using a blank page. But for now, we're just typing in and replacing the content for the text in this particular template. It is a really fast way to create a client website. Let's scroll down and you can see you would do the same thing here. It's the same thing. We have a title. We have a large title here and some text and a button. Now here on this panel, we would edit these the same way. And if you're ever confused about what kind of an element you're working on at the time, all you have to do is select it, and let's say here, and it'll tell you right in the editor that this is an image. You can see if we select it below here that this is text, and I believe this probably has an invisible box around it as well. I'm not sure. Maybe not. So you would alter these the same way. You could replace these images entirely if you would want to. You alter your different labels here in your main title and you're good to go. Now, I want to also mention that you can right-click on the panel itself and you can also alter the panel background. And you also can, let's say you don't want to use this panel in the web page right now. Maybe you're just going to eliminate it. You can totally throw it in the trash can and get rid of it forever. But maybe it's something that is talking about a very specific offer that you do regularly, but you don't do it all the time. You could hide this just by clicking on the hide element, and that hides that entire panel. But if you ever want to use it again, you can come up here to the eyeball and click the hide the eyeball. We can see it's a panel and it'll put it back. Let's scroll down and there it is. To shut this menu, close it, all you have to do is click on that eyeball again. You can see that editing the elements is really very simple. It just takes time to come down here and know what you're going to say in each space. But it really is just a matter of right-clicking, selecting the element you're working on, replacing it with your text, your specific numbers, and you're good to go. Here's where you're going to do the same thing for your testimonials, and down below is the contact us form. Before we move on, I wanted to come back to this panel here with the numbers. Don't let this panel fool you. Can you see as you run your mouse across the panel, you can see the blue dotted lines of the elements that are on that panel. For example, we have this title element that might be an H4 maybe headline, and another text element with the paragraph font in it. And both of those text elements are located in what we call an invisible box. Now, the reason we use invisible boxes is because we can group elements together and then quickly move them, and they move together. And you can see this is when you click on that invisible box, even though it's not showing there when the mouse is not hovered over it in the editor. When you come up here and click on the invisible box, it tells you it's a box, and all that is a transparent background box with no border or a transparent border. And we'll cover more of that when we build in with the blank panels. Remember, we're going to quickly rebuild this page using blank panels. And that way, you're going to really understand how to recreate just about any site on your own with the Cheetah Builder. Back to this panel, you can see below this invisible box with two text elements in it. We also have 1, 2, 3, 4 invisible boxes, titles underneath those. So you see now I'm selecting the box, so my element tells me I'm on a box. Now let's go up and click this percentage one, and you can see this is just a text box. That's all it is. A text box at this site, probably an H2, maybe an H3 depending on how you set it. And another text box right here of a different headline. They're nestled inside an invisible box. That way you can line them up easily, space them out however you like properly. But even more important than that, you see if I click and select this invisible box, it opens up that element editor, and right here, clone element, I have the ability to duplicate it just by clicking here. Now I have two, so I'm going to carefully make sure I select the box of the one I just copied and replicated, and we can move it on, and I can add these boxes and elements very quick. Now we're going to just go ahead and delete this for right now. But you can see if you need 5 of these invisible boxes with 2 text elements in it, it's easy to just duplicate. Now I'm going to move that one right back up to align properly with the rest of the others. And of course, this banner here, we have another little, let's select it and find out what it is. It's a text element. Now you may say, that doesn't look like any text for me. Let's select it, open it up, because you can also insert symbols by clicking on the flag. So let's go ahead and open that up, and you can see you have all of these icons, and you can even search this enormous database. Let's search arrow, and it's bringing up all of the elements that have arrows in. And right here is our down symbol, our little arrow like that. And I could select that, select it here, and that's how that particular icon is inserted in as a text element. So don't forget that's there. You just click on, if you're in a text field, it brings up the text editor, and you can come here to this flag and open it up and insert your icon and select it that way. Now let's talk about your contact panel. Right here we have a panel. You can take a look at it and see that the panel has a background image. It has 3 text fields. You know how to edit those now. And our Contact Us button. Let's select that button and right click it. Bring up the card where we can change the look and feel if we like. Let's say I want to change this to a brand color. This client has given me the hex codes and the values of their brand colors. Right here is where you can select the brand color, and let's say they have the color, it's a tomato color that they use for their brand, and I'm gonna put it right in there. So it changes the color to our tomato, the brand color. And we do have a hover effect on, so next is the background color hover. What do we want when somebody's hovering over that element on the page? So I'm going to click here, and let's say we just want to move this over and get a different hue of that same color, just something that's a little different. We can do it like that. It doesn't matter. You go right ahead. And then the text color. Do we want the text color to change? Well, let's think about the text color. Right now, it's standard that it's this color. So let's look at that text color. And we find that by coming down to headline on the same card. And here it is. The headline says Contact Us. It gives us the font family that we're using, the font size, and here's the color. So why not, we'll change that to, how about we're going to change that to white. So we know what white is. That's FFF, changes it to white. So we like the looks of that. Now we're going to, of course, select it, right click again, and go back and look at the general colors again. And now let's look at that hover text color. What color do we want it to go to when somebody is hovering over it? Let's make this black. So I'm going to choose black. You can either drag it all the way down, but if you want true black, it's 0000000. That gets you true black. So we have those set. Now we've saved a lot, so we've made some changes. So let's go up here and save. It's going to ask us if we want to publish it. Let's go ahead and publish it. And now let's go ahead and check it out in preview. So we'll click on preview. Preview is there just to help you make design decisions. It's not going to function with code, so it's really important to remember that. So here's our new button, and you can see, yes, when we hover over it, it just kind of gives you a little muted shade. It didn't change the text though, so I must not have saved it properly. So let's go back to the editor. Here we are in the editor. Let's go ahead and select this element, and of course we can always get into it and edit the element by clicking on the pencil, and it brings up that card. But right click just seems easier for me. So now we're looking at the hover color on the text. Right here, let's see, let's go ahead and save it again. Sometimes you just have to save it a couple of times, especially if you're saving multiple things. So we have our button personalized. Maybe the only thing we should do is let's change the headline on this button and have it read Contact the Sweet Zone. Personalize it even more. So I'm going to right click, find the headline here. There we go. And instead of Contact Us, we're going to have it read Contact the Sweet Zone. So we like that, but it's kind of crowded. So let's just drag it and make it a little bigger and get it centered just the way we want it. We can even increase the size of the font on that if we like, and I often do on my buttons. It's really easy. You can come down here to the font size. We'll just do this size now, the desktop size. We can come back and do the mobile later and make it even bigger and more obvious. So let's try that. Once we have it located on the page the way we want it, we can save it. But before we save the changes to the page, I think I also want to save this button style as a personal button. Now, what does that mean? That means once I get everything set the way I want it to look on a branded website, I'm going to save this element so I can reuse it over and over again. So I'm going to select it, and I'm going to right click, bring up that settings card. I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom to advanced and bring up that personal panel label, that save element label that we talked about earlier. I'm going to give this particular element a unique name. I've got SZ in there for Sweet Zone. That way I know it's associated with the Sweet Zone website. And I've put in what I want to call this element. Now I'm going to save it as a personal element. You'll get an alert that the element has been saved. And that means we can pull it in and use it elsewhere on this page, in this website, across all the pages in the website. So we should have our personal contact button, our branded contact button, saved for the Sweet Zone. And one way we can use it, let's scroll up and go to this button here, right here, this yellow button. Let's say we want to use that same style of button. I can select this button and delete it. So now to use this, let's go right up here to this panel. We've deleted it. So now I'm going to select it, make sure I'm still in the panel. You see I've selected the panel. Let's go up and add a personal element. A button is an element. That's where we saved it. So let's open it up. Let's go to button. And down here we can see we have our contact button for SZ. So I'm going to select it. There's our button. It puts it on the panel. I can move it down. I'm going to select it and center it. Let's just center it inside the panel and let's save it. And now that we have this branded button here right on the website, right on the page, we don't even really have to go back in and pull in that personal element. Let's select it and clone it, duplicate it. Let's pull this up. I'm just going to keep pulling it up as I scroll up the page. I know I need one here. So I'm going to pull that right into that invisible box. And I'm going to center it because it'll center it inside the box, or at least it should. Yes, there we go. So now that I have that button replaced, don't worry about the headlines right now. We're just duplicating the style of the button. I'm going to make sure I'm selected. I'm going to clone it again. I'm going to pick up that top copy and move it up because I know I have more buttons up there I need to replace. So let's pull it up, and here's the button on that first fold panel. Let me delete this one. We can delete it, and now we're going to pull this one over and place it on the page right where we want it. Now let's come down here and make sure we have all of our buttons duplicated, and we do. Don't pay any attention to the newsletter subscription yet. We'll talk about that in just a moment when we edit our footer. Now what we want to do is make sure we have these customized brand buttons going to the right place and saying the right thing. Now this one was something like no more. So I'm going to go ahead and right click on this particular button. And it brings up that card again, and I'm going to change the headline on this one to read, I'll just leave it as no more. You can say whatever you want. It didn't change the other buttons, just this one. So let's change that one, come down here. And I think this was about the company. So why not change this to about the Sweet Zone? So we're going to right click and bring that card right back up again. We're going to find that headline, and we're going to change the headline to read whatever you want it to read. It's up to you. I'm not spending a lot of time thinking about it. And let's go ahead and change this one to, how about we put see our menu on this one? So I'm going to right click, find that headline. We're going to change the text to see our menu. And we have the Contact the Sweet Zone on this button. Now that takes care of our headlines, but that's not all we have to do. You can do this at the same time you're changing the headlines, but I wanted to keep this in groups so you can learn one step at one time. Now we're going to set the link. So this button here on our first fold panel is going to the About Us page. That's where it's supposed to go. So I'm going to select that button, and right on the button editor you'll see a set link icon. It's that little link icon. Click on it. It opens up your set link menu and options, and we can do all kinds of things setting links with the Cheetah Builder. Right now we're just going to keep it really simple and make sure that it's set to a page, and it is. And we're going to set this particular page to the About Us page. That's where we want it to go. And we're going, so that means that our target, we have this page opening when somebody clicks on that button. Now we can choose to have it open in the same tab, open in a new tab, and then the third option is open in the parent tab, which is really has to do with bringing in sites inside iframes. We're not going to talk about that now. We're just going to keep it in the same tab. Once we know that our page is going to the right page in our Ice Cream Shop Express website, we're going to select it, and then you're going to want to save it, of course. So we've saved it. So now let's go down and make sure our other buttons are set properly. About the Sweet Zone should lead to the About page. So I'm going to select it. I'm going to go to the link. I'm going to pull up that card and make sure it's set to the, see here, About Us page. Once I know it's set, I've got it opening in the same tab. I can select it. And let's check the other button. Down here, this should be going to Services. And I'm going to open the link and make sure it's set to Services, and we'll open in the same tab and select it. And this is going to the Contact page. So we're going to check the set link on that, and it is going to the contact page. So we can select it. Now that we have all of the actions set on our buttons, we're going to save it, and that's fine. So now we have on our home page everything done. I'm saying you've got all of this copy work done, which is something you can't get out of doing. You have to create the copy for your websites. But we have everything else done, and we're ready to move on to our footer. So let's take a look at the footer. Here it says politics. Let's say this is just our name. You can actually fill this out any way you want. We've added our title there, the name of the business. Here could be a paragraph about the business, anything you really want to share in the footer on every page. Here's our contact us information. We'll add to that a little later on if we like, but right here is the basic street address, hours of operation, email, and phone number. So you would want to edit that. And then off to the right, we have the newsletter subscription opt-in form. We're not going to configure this newsletter opt-in form right in this video. We'll do that in another video, but I do want to at least show you how to customize the look of this. That yellow button certainly looks like it could use a brand uplift. So we're going to select the opt-in form box. You see, right now we've got the box. So down here is our mailing boss form. Let's move it up just a little bit. There we go. Now that we have the mailing boss form selected, we can edit it, and that brings up, of course, our settings card. We can right click. We can also open up our side menu. But we'll go to the general settings, and just like any other element, we have options we can choose. We can choose to make it a horizontal form, to show or hide a label, to show placeholders. Here's where you edit the size. There's the button width and the button height, maximum width on tablet, the field style, adjust all of these customizable options. Let's look at general colors. So here is our button colors. Let's go ahead and change that to our tomato. And we can do that by getting the exact color code and pasting it in. So now we have the color right. You know how to change it to the lighter color though. All we have to do is drag it over a little bit and change it. Now we also want to change our headline to a different color. We want that to be white. So let's find our headline. Right here's our headline. We're going to change that to white. And let's look at the text color under general colors. And good, our hover color is on white, so that'll be fine. So our opt-in form at least looks great on the page now. And the only thing we have is configure this to a mailing boss list. Now I'm not going to go into detail about how to configure this to an email autoresponder in Mailing Boss or create a list, but I wanted to show you how you can customize the look in a template. We'll cover how to configure that in another video. But that's how you go about and customize any of the beautiful templates that we have in our Cheetah Builder. And you can see once you fill in all of your copy, get your content here instead of the designer placeholder content. It's really easy to do. So before we leave here, I'm going to save and save again. That's fine. So that's how you edit and customize a template in the Cheetah Builder. And we have so many beautiful templates in the Cheetah Builder. It really makes it easy to get something created really quick. This is Terry Stevenson from the Builderall team saying I'll see you in the next video.